I am recording. Woohoo! Let's kick off this event. So it looks like, yeah, we've got a few people in here. We've got another Kara joined.
Perfect.
So funny. So you just want to wait for a little bit and allow people to join?
Yeah, let's do that. Looks like people are starting to come in here.
That is weird with the Karas. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
And I've only done like 3
Everyone-
videos of these.
Yeah, let's see here. Okay. All right, if you're just joining, a few of you have joined through the panelist link that was put into probably the Facebook event. So your name is probably showing up as Kara. If you could, there should be a little, I think 3 dots icon if you hover over your name to change your name. And then once your name is changed, I can remove you as a panelist. That way you guys will not be able to have panelists be access, which we don't want. There we go. A few people did that. Thank you. And Paul, did you want to be a panelist? I don't think you were originally a panelist. I can make you just an attendee.
Either way is fine.
Okay,
I can stay where I'm at.
great. Sounds good. It looks like you're still eating lunch. I didn't get my free lunch. Symposia, weren't you guys going to deliver that to everyone?
Right.
Oh, I didn't make it to everyone's house yet. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't wait any longer, so I grabbed leftovers.
Kara's actually in a RV right now, traveling to everybody's house.
Yeah.
I thought that was the 70s show basement.
It does
Pretty
kind of
close.
look like it.
Pretty
Oh,
close.
that's funny.
Watch for the clouds.
All right. If you're just joining, some of you are joining as panelists, and I'm just going through and making sure to change your role to attendee. Just we had a link issue there. Welcome to the webinar.
Well, as we're gathering here, I can say a few words about the Lansing Marketing Hackers and kind of who we are and what we do. We're a Lansing-based organization that came together a couple years ago just to, a group of like-minded marketers who want to explore sort of a little bit deeper into certain topics. Today we're going to be talking about Google Analytics and tracking website traffic and setting up goals and conversions and things like that. And so Lance is going to lead us through that discussion. But we meet every other month, usually in person. Obviously, this is a unique set of circumstances. So we're meeting via Zoom, and our next one will be June, and it may be the same thing depending on what our governor says. But we want to continue to keep getting together and sharing information. The great thing about this group is it is a very interactive group. We have a lot of common knowledge together. So typically that these presentations are fairly interactive. This might be slightly different where we want to probably wait for Q&A to the end, but those interactions and us sharing each other's knowledge is really powerful with this group, and we've seen a lot of success with that and a lot of interest in the group. Kind of keeps growing and getting good numbers with our meetings, and so we're grateful for that. And so my name, I'll just kind of go into an introduction. My name's Chad Muntz. I am the digital sales manager at WLNS Channel 6 in Lansing. And we handle all kinds of digital marketing. We're a TV station, but I handle the digital side of it. So our owned and operated website, WLNS.com, our mobile apps, and then we have a digital agency built in. We're part of Nexstar Media Group, so we do all kinds of SEO, SEM, targeted display and video, and all those cool things that digital marketers do. So that's who I am. We kind of started this group based on a panel discussion that Paul Schmidt and Leo Dion were on, and we kind of took it from there. And so with that, I'd like to kind of introduce my cohort, Paul, and then we'll talk. If Julie Holton is on the line, we'll let her introduce herself. So Paul, if you want to say a few words about Uno Deuce and how you got involved with this.
Well, as Chad mentioned, we were both on a panel a long time ago, about 3 years ago. So I guess that's long time ago there. But what I do is I own a video storytelling agency called Uno Deuce Multimedia. And what we do is create content that's video based around positive impacts in the community through the clientele that we work with are nonprofit organizations and socially responsible small businesses. And so we like to tell those stories. And so that's what we've been doing for almost 20 years and been in Lansing for 10. And just been a good ride. And of course, we've thoroughly enjoyed producing these Lansing Marketing Hacker meetups. So that's me in a nutshell. Any questions about video related stuff after the presentation, shoot me a line, but I'm here to listen to Lance.
Great, thanks. While we're waiting for Julie, Lance, I just sent you a note. Maybe you can make Julie a panelist so she can introduce herself. But also very important, because normally these are lunch and learns, and Symposia Labs has been a sponsor of this for quite a while. And they're an awesome digital agency out of Grand Rapids area, but they're also very active in the Lansing area as well. And Kara is here from Symposia, and for one, we just want to thank them for their continued sponsorship of this group. It makes our meetings happen. And Kara, if you wouldn't mind just kind of saying a few words about Symposia and what you do and your value proposition.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Kara Wassink. I am the marketing assistant at Symposia. In the last meeting, our digital marketing director, Tim Haynes, actually led and spoke on digital marketing trends for this year. We are a digital marketing agency. We do a lot with copy and creative and strategy, using a lot of data and research to drive our work and create online advertising that really meets companies' goals and make the organizations have an impact. And that's something that we really take pride in. And we'd love to talk to anybody who's interested in looking at a digital marketing strategy and changing things up, especially in the current times and current state, and figuring out how to really make an impact with your company.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks. Were we able to get Julie on as a panelist and start video? So if you can unmute yourself and start your video, you can maybe say a few things about M Connections and how you're involved with the Lansing Marketing Hackers and your what you do for a living.
Hey guys, thanks Chad, and I'm so sorry I do not have video on this device at the moment, but I am with you all in spirit and can see you. So I'm Julie Holton. I'm the owner and principal strategist of M Connections Marketing Agency. Lately we have been super busy with a series we launched back on March 15th related to COVID-19 called Expert Connections. We have interviewed in a series of Facebook Lives more than 24 experts, mostly focused in the greater Lansing region. Everything from attorneys with legal insights into, as businesses deal with this, to, CPAs, health experts, mental health experts, and of course, marketing experts. So would love for you to check that out. But otherwise, we are a marketing agency. We focus on marketing of all types, but especially content and distribution. So we do websites and social media and email marketing, etc. So glad to be here and really looking forward to the presentation today.
Great, thanks, Julie. And Julie was our presenter in December, and she did a great session on email marketing. So please consider her if you have any questions with that. So without further ado, Lance, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and your company. I'm going to put myself on mute and take it from here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for inviting me to this event. I appreciate it. I obviously am very bummed we can't do this in person. I get a lot of energy from crowds, so I'm just going to pretend you're out there because I'm going to need it. But at the same time, I'm pretty optimistic that hopefully we're going to actually be able to pack in even more insight, just more perspective from our end of things. So yeah, let me get started first by sharing my screen. And panelists, you should be able to see this. Am I right? We're good. Okay, awesome. And let's see. Can you see our faces here on the side? Okay, I don't know if we want that or not. What do you guys think? We'll leave it there. Awesome. I don't think it's going to get in the way of the presentation. So first of all, when Chad and I spoke a couple months ago about me speaking at this event, it sounded like the main thing from your guys' last meeting. Unfortunately, I've never been able to attend, but hopefully the one in June I can make happen. It sounded like a lot of people were very interested in how do we track goals, set up goals using Google Analytics and Tag Manager. So that is going to be a big portion of what we talk about here today. But really, I want to dive down a little bit even deeper than that and think about how we define success from a website marketing perspective specifically, and letting data and human empathy drive what we create. So the agenda for this meeting, real quick, high-level overview, who we are. I'm going to introduce myself, my team. Then we're going to talk about, this is going to be very tactical, working with Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics. So I'm going to tell you exactly how to set this up step by step. We're going to have a recorded version of this. I am recording this, and we actually posted a blog post that breaks down these steps. So if you're not with us, if you're like, I don't even care about this, tune out, or, go back to the blog post later. Then we're going to talk about actually measuring the right things. And I'm really geeked about this because it's a football analogy. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm really missing sports. So I need something in my life that's related to sports. So you're going to enjoy that. Next, we're going to talk about SEO and particularly using data from keyword research to drive what we build and consider what I call search empathy optimization. That's right. I just coined it a while ago. And then we're going to give you some actionable tips that you guys can actually implement today on your websites. And then finally, a little time for Q&A. So who we are, this is my wife and I. She is a co-owner, and I think she's a panelist. She's just hidden. She's probably downstairs right now with the dog, making sure that my dog Louie doesn't interrupt, because he tends to do that when we get on video calls. I started the business about 5 years ago, really just started as mainly brochure style websites. Not, just kind of like WordPress based. But then one day I had this guy who said, yeah, Lance, you can build a website for me. But it's just a glorified Yellow Pages. And that kind of like set me off on this, like, no, you're wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. You can grow your business. You can generate leads through your website. And so I dabbled for a little while in all things digital marketing, the email, pay-per-click, Facebook, you name it. Okay. But the one that stuck to me was the one that was free, and that was SEO. So over the last few years, we have really just niched down to being a inbound lead generating, website lead generating service, mainly for service-based businesses, both local and national, even a couple international. And that has really helped our company grow. It's my wife and I and a couple of the other SEO nerds, as we call ourselves. And yeah, we're having fun doing what we do. So I'm going to jump right into this. And we're going to assume that you have created a Tag Manager account. And if you haven't, it's very easy. It's free. And if you don't know what Tag Manager is, it's a free software from Google that allows you to easily manage third-party software scripts on your website. So, like your Facebook pixel, your Google Analytics code, etc. It's really, really nice to use that, to have it all in one place, because if you, for instance, mismanage Google Analytics, you can get bad data in Google Analytics. So in the next steps, we're going to show you how, at a high level, how we track goals in Google Analytics using Google Tag Manager. And after you've logged in, you're going to see the screen like this, and you're going to add a new tag. So there's this new button right there. The next in that tag, what you're going to do is you're going to choose tag type, Google Analytics for Universal Analytics. And you're going to track the type. In this example, we're going to do just all form submissions on the website. It's kind of one of the easiest ones to explain. So you're going to pick the category of form submissions. You're going to have non-interaction hit of false. Google Analytics settings are going to be set to variable. And if you're tracking all form submissions, you can name your event something general like form submissions, but you may have multiple different forms. You may have page level forms, for example. Later on, you might want to come up with a better naming convention for those. But after that, what you're going to do is choose the form submissions option for the type of trigger. And we recommend checking the box for wait for tags, and this prevents form submissions that actually don't go through. So once this is checked, Tag Manager requires some sort of condition to fire the trigger. And at first, we always set it to something that should never get in the way of the tag actually being triggered. In this example here, we made the source, made sure the page URL has to contain corrections, because in this example, the domain is correctionsmanager.com, and that's always going to be in the URL. So if you are tracking all forms with one tag, you want to select all forms. If you have multiple forms, you want to track separately. So set them up accordingly with conditions set on either the page URL or the form ID. So I'm getting a few notifications here. Let me just check, see, there might be some questions in chat. I don't want to be aware of those. Okay. Rayanne is saying Louie is under control, so Louie will not be bothering me, our dog. Great. And now I got to back up here. All right. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go back to the home screen of Google Tag Manager, and you should see something like this orange screen and this badge for previewing. So then what you want to go and do is open up a new tab, go to the website that you're managing your Google Tag Manager script, and you're actually going to test your actions just to set up the tracking. So the tags that you just built should fire from the actions you trigger. If they don't, make sure all settings are correct and match your tags and triggers, and that they're connected properly. So that so what you're looking at here is a preview mode, and you're going to see this overlay in your viewport here. So as soon as you have these scripts on your website, and you have that tag set up, you're going to see this, and you're going to see if it fires or not. So next up, we're going to go to Google Analytics. And just to simplify this presentation, I'm going to assume that you guys know how to get to goals in Google Analytics. If not, again, like I said, we're going to have a more thorough guide, and there is a blog post on our website. But what you're going to do is create a new custom goal and name your goal. In this case, we're going to make it match our tag name of form submission, and make sure your goal type is an event. So under goal details, make sure the category matches the tag name exactly, then save and repeat for all those goals. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That was probably super detailed. Again, this is the domain. We'll send out links after this call, but this is how to do it kind of step by step. And you can do this for phone link clicks, email link clicks, all different kinds of actions on your website, even custom actions like creating an account for something. So what I'm going to do now is talk to you guys a little bit about, okay, let's assume that you actually have all of those goals set up on your website, that you're tracking those. So what do you do with them? That's when you need to kind of have a plan. And this is where my football analogy comes in. So we have been loving what's called the reverse goal path. And we can kind of think of it as your game film. So you guys, if you're an NFL fan, if you're a football fan, the coaches at the highest level know that every time a touchdown is scored, they're going to go back to their game film. They're going to review it and they're going to say, how can we do that again? We want to make sure that we score more touchdowns. So we're going to review those plays where we score touchdowns. So think of your goals as your touchdowns. And your reverse goal path is the actions, the pages that people landed on in order to complete that goal. So imagine playing a game of football and not actually knowing where the end zone is. If you don't actually have your goals set up, you're never going to know if you score a touchdown or not. So the reason we love the reverse goal path is because it shows you pages on your website where conversions happened and even the interaction path that people had before they converted. So why does it matter? The pages that they convert on, are incredibly valuable. And you're going to get an idea of what sources are actually bringing in the best visitors. You can actually filter it by organic traffic and paid traffic, even Google My Business if you have tracking set up on Google My Business, which we'll get to in a second. And it really can help you figure out where you should be focusing your energy for improvement. So what we do is we regularly review our game film, our reverse goal path, and say, okay, if people are coming into this page and they're taking this journey to this site, where are they converting? What's stopping them from converting? So then we can even take a page, analyze it, look at maybe what keywords are driving traffic to that and say, are the intentions fulfilled there? For what people are clicking through and getting and what page they're landing on, are their intentions fulfilled for whatever is driving them there? And if not, how can we increase the likelihood that they actually convert? So this is a screenshot of a customer, and this is that reverse goal path that I was talking about. So we actually have it filtered by organic traffic. You can see that using Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics, we have a few different goals set up here. We have call tracking, form submissions, phone link clicks, email link clicks, and then just the total of all goals. So you can see, for instance, we have the total number of goals across all sources here, and then we have specifically organic traffic. And we can see, we can see the actual landing page that they came in through, or the previous step before they made that desired action of, in this case, contacting, looks like a phone link clicks were a high goal. So this is where we can also even kind of prove our value a little bit. So in this example here, this is a fireplace store, and we actually told them, like, you need to make sure you have a specific page on your installation service, right? They just wanted to kind of have like a very general, like boring, what we call thin content, not enough helpful information for the person looking to have a custom fireplace installed. And we're like, you need to talk about it. You need to help people understand the process because people want to self-educate online. So that page was created because of our work. And then we get to go back to, the customer and say, hey, remember when we told you to create that page? And now it's a huge part of us actually being able to generate leads for you guys. It's important. And we can even narrow it down with search, and you can search by a specific page so you can see how that page is performing. So that's located in Google Analytics under conversions, goals, reverse goal path. So this is my Segway. I don't actually own a Segway. If I did, that would be great. I wish I did. But what I want to talk to you guys about now is creating what we just call demand-based websites. Websites for your users, not for your business, right? Ones that truly help the customer. A lot of times I've been talking to people about keywords. We often see keywords for what we want to get out of it and not what we can give out of it, right? What our customers can be given rather than what we can get from them. And when you are able to think through that lens a little bit better, you end up producing better content, a better website, and that results in more leads, more traffic, etc. So I'm going to take you guys on a little journey here. Humans use what they know to describe what they don't. This one is perfect because my mom actually just had a new house built out in the Sticks building, Michigan. And we just checked it out a few weeks ago, and there's no grass on the lawn around her house right now, right? So she actually needs to find a solution, either do it herself, which I know she won't, or grow grass. Now, people will actually go to Google and use what they understand, right? Like, I need to grow grass, so I'm going to make a search like grow grass on new lawn. So they're describing what a landscaper would recommend as hydroseeding or maybe sod. And so that's what the landscaping website will list as a service, right? They'll list hydroseeding, sod, but they won't give any, a lot of times what we see is they won't give any context to what is that actually. So that human, and I'm going to say human a lot because I want people to remember that keywords come from humans. So we need to understand that. We need to be reminded of that. That they're looking at growing grass in their new lawn, but we need to help them understand that what they actually need is called hydroseeding. And so in a searcher's journey, what might happen is they see an article about hydroseeding, then they might rephrase their search. What is hydroseeding? And they learn about it and they self-educate and they go, yeah, I think that's what I need. And then they say, and then rephrase to a more local intent search of hydroseeding service. So the homeowner now understands a little bit so they can actually rephrase. But how much better would it be if you actually were able to get in front of the customer here rather than here? And since the customer is searching for this and Google has the evidence that they made these kind of searches, it would be helpful if you had great content to help them understand what hydroseeding is. So kind of the way we like to break this down is into 3 I's, right? Identify, intent, and implement. Identify is, just keyword research, right? It involves identifying those popular words and phrases that people actually search for in the search engines. The intent side is, involving trying to determine what the ultimate goal of the searcher is based upon that keyword and phrase. And then the implementation side is where we take those keywords and start to group them into ideas and topics that define what content that we actually put on our website and even how we organize that content for the best user experience. So what we're ultimately trying to do in creating this demand-based website that actually gets leads, completes goals, is give them what they want. Now, a searcher, in the example of hydroseeding, that searches for a hydroseeding service near them, they might just want to find a good trusted provider, make a phone call, and go, like, give me a quote, right? That's how it happens. But Google knows that there's more to hydroseeding than that and knows that not everybody just wants to pick up the phone. They want to dwell. They want to self-educate a little bit. So that same search by 2 different people, somebody actually might want to dig into the company a little bit more and say, well, how many applications do you do? Because hydroseeding, if you really want to grow your grass well, takes a few applications. And so they're going to self-educate. They're going to find out, what goes into your hydroseeding service. So what we do and what we recommend doing is analyze keyword data to get a panoramic view of your topic, right? So if you're just a local landscaper and you offer hydroseeding services, you probably have no idea that there are over 4,000 variations of the way that people search that include that word hydroseeding, there is a monthly US search volume average of 67,000. And of the 4,000 keywords, we have 274 that are phrased as questions that include hydroseeding. And here's what's interesting to me. 111 of the keywords of the 4,000 have local intent. And by that, we just mean it triggers the local pack, the map pack, 3 businesses in the search engine results. But that accounts for 47% of that average monthly search volume. So what we like to do is figure out how well do you actually cover your topic, right? If you just say like, oh, I'm a landscaper and we offer hydroseeding services, and Google understands and has all this data, that's not a very helpful experience to the searcher, to the person coming to your site, right? Because there are going to be people that want to and get to your site before they've researched all that goes into hydroseeding. So it's great to kind of like think about your topic and consider how much does your website actually cover, because this is how much Google sees. And it's like, well, then you're not a very recommended, you're not a great resource on this topic. So why would Google recommend you? So we like to look at it and say, what's missing from your website? Understand your customer's possible journey, because we know that people are going to arrive at the same solution by taking many different routes. And we can prove that in our reverse goal path. So what we try to do is feel the pain and the experience, the problems along the way of that searcher. Now, this is really hard. This kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about we see keywords for what we want out of them and not what the user wants out of them. It's very easy, especially when you're working with the business owner or the marketing director, the one who's like, oh yeah, we need leads. But this is where you've really got to develop a practice of giving away everything you possibly can, have better content. And the way we do this is we look at your product or service, whatever it is that you offer, and just consider from low funnel to mid funnel to high funnel, how do people become aware? Some people search by solution, right? Hydroseeding services. Some people search by problem. I need to grow grass on my new lawn. So when you understand what questions, what inefficiencies, what life circumstances, what problems, and feel that pain, experience that, you're going to be able to create better content along the way. So one other example, many of you probably have heard or know that Lake Michigan water levels are higher than ever right now. So we have one customer that's in the marine construction business, and what they're doing is called riprap rock revetment. Now, I'm assuming a lot of you, unless you have experience in marine construction, haven't heard of that, and you're like, what is that? And that's exactly how a lot of homeowners on Lake Michigan are thinking right now too. So they need to find solutions to stop the water from eroding their bluffs, and literally houses are falling in the lake now. So what we did for them is we understood that, okay, their product, their service is riprap rock revetment. It's like this big limestone that you probably see along piers, and rock revetment is the engineering process of placing it. But nobody really searches for that. Some people do, and it's helpful, obviously, to have that content on our website. But what they're looking for is like shoreline erosion protection, bluff protection. We're going even far out, high end of the funnel, and we have resources on Lake Michigan water levels. Now, we know just random people will search for Lake Michigan water levels, but it's kind of that signal on the journey, right? If there's 5,000 people a month that search Lake Michigan water levels, and even one of them could be that potential customer, and it's helpful, we're going to get in front of them way before any other competition does. So it's helpful for us to have that. So ultimately what we do is we try to connect keywords to topics, right? In the case of hydroseeding, we're looking at the questions that people ask. How much does it cost? DIY, hydroseeding versus sod. We always love to recommend, like, whatever your topic is, create that like 101, that honestly 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 word blog post that covers that topic really well. and just kind of creates that resource for people if they need it. So demand-based websites, we love them because they're focused on creating that better experience for the searcher. It's valuable, it's evidence-based, and we're actually creating content to align ourselves with Google. Like at the end of the day, like a lot of times SEO, digital marketing people, it's just like, oh man, we're bowing down to Google, and it's so true. But what they're trying to do is create a better experience for searchers, give them exactly what they're looking for. So if we can get better at doing that, we're going to see better results as well. So kind of the summary of this is your website, from an SEO demand-based, providing helpful resources to your customer perspective, should be a library of human-focused, helpful, and educational content. And the way you can do that is by analyzing that data to find evidence of that need, create that content that your audience actually demands, and then that's going to build your authority and generate leads. So segueing here now, I want to give you guys some actionable tips that you can implement today. So easy that a caveman can do it. So one of these is, if you are a local business, you work with local businesses, you need to be spending a lot more time with Google My Business, especially if you are a local business that has any kind of foot traffic. Obviously, right now, there's not many of those at all. But when things start picking back up, this is going to be huge. So Google, without adding a UTM code to your Google My Business website link, you will not know what traffic actually comes from your Google My Business listing. And it's totally white hat. It's fine to put in those UTM codes into your Google My Business listing. So that way you can see something like this that actually shows you, oh, this is traffic coming from our Google My Business listing. And remember, your Google My Business listing, it will show up for branded searches, but it also shows up for non-branded searches as well. So in the case of I think this is that fireplace store. When you search that fireplace store by name, your Google My Business shows up on the right side of the desktop. But if you search non-branded like fireplace store, and we get them into that local pack, the top 3, and they click website, or they click on the listing and then eventually click through to the website, that's their Google My Business listing. So by putting in those UTMs, you can actually start to measure results. And in this case, I think this was a 30-day view, only 5% of the traffic to the website actually came from the Google My Business listing, but over 27% of our goals. And those are the things that matter, right? So this is a trend that we continually see. So keep investing in Google My Business, and all you have to do is put in that UTM tracking code. You'll actually know, if you have your goals set up, that it's bringing in valuable traffic that converts. So the other one, updating your page title, meta title, same thing, tags. Now this one, you guys have probably heard so many times if you're in the digital marketing space, right? But this is just one of those, I feel like people just still ignore it. Maybe because it's too easy. It is too easy to update these, but I wanted to give you guys this example. Which one of these would you rather click on, right? If you're searching for a wedding cake vendor for your wedding, I'm clicking the one that says free tastings, not the one that says nothing else, right? You can put call to actions in your meta and title tags. And just a quick little way to see, like, hey, what do all of those look like in the search engine results page? Because sometimes when you're working with them, if you're in a WordPress site, you can edit it with Yoast. You just don't see it the way that it would be visible on the search engine. So it just kind of just feels less personal. So what you can do is just search for the site that you're working on. Just put in the main domain, and it's just going to pretty much list all of your indexed pages. And you can take a look at them and say, like, well, let's optimize this here and this there. And yeah, if you can work in call to actions, that's fantastic. Not every page is that simple. But the other thing that you guys can do is, or the other thing that you should keep in mind is, Google somewhat recently changed instead of character length, it's actually pixel width now. So you probably, most likely, and I know this is the case with a lot of websites we work on, we need to go re-optimize a lot of those, because what you'll see, I think even in this example, is the kind of like dot, 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 because these hyphens are taking up more pixel space than they are character space. So little things like that. Right now is actually a great time if you're working from home and you're like, hey, I need to keep my team busy, or I need to keep busy. I'm trying to, get some future results from SEO for my website. Update your content with more context. And what I mean by that is look at a page like this right here, right? This is a service level page for a company we work with. And we wrote a blog post all about shoreline erosion, and just, that kind of 101 that I was talking about. So on their service page, like, they don't go into all the details. They talk about what they do, but they don't talk all about shoreline erosion and everything that goes into it. And it's a huge topic, really. So what we recommend is look at your service pages, your product pages, whatever they are, and just ask better questions. So it's like, okay, does the person that needs shoreline erosion really know everything that goes into it? What else could they need to know? So we look at this and say, well, let's make sure that we add an internal link on our service page about shoreline erosion to a blog post all about shoreline erosion. And a great place to get free ideas for what you could write about is called Answer the Public. In Answer the Public, it's this great little free tool where you just enter a keyword and it'll tell you all the questions that people ask in Google that include that keyword phrased as a question. And it's a great idea to just figure out, okay, what could we write about? And a little side note on this, recently there was in the Twitter, I'm not on Twitter, but I heard about this from other SEO nerds out there, that like 200 or some SEOs kind of weighed in on, like, what are the most underrated SEO tactics? And the top two were updating old content and internal linking. And that's exactly what you do here by creating a blog post, with more context. All right, so we're kind of at the point now where I can take Q&A. What I'm going to do is stop presenting here for a second. See if I can do that. All right, I think we have some questions. Sorry, I'm trying to navigate sharing this. There we go. All right. Do we have any questions? I'm new to answering questions through Zoom, so I'm not sure actually where these would appear.
Well, if anyone has questions, they can put it in the chat, certainly, and then Lance can see them that way.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
All right, good. Okay. I'll tell you that call to action in the meta description is brilliant. I really hadn't given that much thought before, and it's super smart, and I can't believe I hadn't thought of it. But that a little nugget like that is just I always look for one thing out of these meetings I can take and implement, and that's so smart.
Well, yeah, and it's a funny thing too. Like, we don't do any pay-per-click ads, but we know that, like, that's a huge part of PPC search ads, is that people are always optimizing those CTAs in those. And it's like, well, why don't people do that with organic results too? There's plenty of opportunity to do that.
Yeah, awesome. So I saw that there was a question. Typically, we take this recording, we'll post it on our Facebook post. We can also share a link in our meetup group as well to make sure everyone can get a recording of this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I do have some questions here. Let me see if I can answer this. So Daniel asks, any tips to get your company listed first in search? Wow, that's a loaded question. I'm going to give you the SEO answer. It depends, right? It depends on what it is that you're selling. Are you a local business? Are you national? I mean, really everything that we just talked about, right? Have really good, helpful content on your website. I don't know if Daniel, if you want to like maybe add some more context to that. Let's see, it looks like Chaz, what is your strategy for campaigns post-apocalyptic pandemic? Are you preparing for this as an event? Wow, that's an interesting question. So it's funny you asked that. As far as our team goes, what we have actually invested even more into, and we've frankly had more time for it, is good content. So what we're doing right now, and this is a little plug, and you can go to our website and sign up for it, but we have a very thorough approach to our SEO process where we really do, at the highest level, we plan the work, then we work the plan. So a lot of SEO companies, they jump right into the retainer mode. We actually figure out like, hey, what in the world do we do to your website? And what we're doing is doing a free training course where I'm actually working on those modules right now, where we just walk through that entire process. Because I think in this post-pandemic environment, I think we're just going to have a lot of people who are way more interested in all the things that we do, this digital marketing stuff. So now is a great time to just share your secrets. I think so many people are afraid to share what they do, but there's a huge difference between knowledge and action, I think. So many people just fail to execute. And that's why we are never afraid to tell you exactly what we do and how would you know that we're capable, if you don't share that information. So that's maybe something that I would recommend is just share more. If you were afraid to give it away before, COVID-19, don't be afraid now. Get it out there. Let's see, can you give some more tips on how to optimize your GMB for SEO? Absolutely. A few other things are just make sure, this one's kind of seems silly, but make sure you actually have a complete profile. So many people don't realize is there's like a services and a products tab, depending on what category you're in. It's like complete that stuff, fill that stuff out. Secondly, post regularly and post often. We have, especially for the more walk-in traffic, right? They don't need to schedule anything. We've seen a lot of really good results from posts. And if you think about it, going back to I'm thinking of the fireplace store that we work with, we wrote this post called Fireplace Inserts 101. See, I told you we love the 101. So it just kind of answers all the frequently asked questions that people have about that particular product. And then we put that post in Google My Business, and it just immediately put us in the local pack for a lot of fireplace insert related keywords in the area. So Google could see that, the content on our website it provided great information about fireplace inserts. We had it in a post on Google My Business. So that's kind of the fun thing, is that like good content on your website can actually increase your local visibility. You don't necessarily think it does, but it will. Let's see, what are some other good tips on that? Yeah, I would say if you are local, take photos, especially ones that like if you are a landscaping company, for instance, right? Take ones of the job, right? Because especially on your phone, right? Because it has that location data in it. So Google can read that information in your post and say, oh, wow, this is a legit photo that they've taken of a project, and, say like, hey, it was so fun working on this project at this location doing this job. It just kind of adds a little bit more validity. Another one, reviews, obviously, everyone knows reviews are important, but respond to reviews, be descriptive, because Google will read those reviews to influence your visibility there. So hopefully that was helpful. I want to make sure, I think I skipped past a few. Somebody asked if this would be recorded. It is going to be recorded, so we'll share that with everyone. Let's see.
So someone just asked if the posts you're talking about are on Facebook or Google My Business. And just to clarify, you're talking about Google My
Yes.
Business, right?
Yes, on Google My Business. Yeah, and in many ways, it's not quite the same, but if you're already posting regularly on social media, just kind of like, I know it's one more channel to post on, but you, to some extent, you can kind of treat it the same. And again, it depends on what your category is too,
Mhm.
because you get different features depending on what business category you're in. So it's kind of strange.
So is it fair then to say that whether any actual person reads your post from Google My Business or not, there's a lot of value in posting to Google My Business just for search results, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it kind of goes back to what we were saying about like just having that really good content there. Some people, like if you have a 3,000 word blog post on hydro seeding, yeah, very few people are going to read all of that actually purchase hydro seeding from you, right? But if there's a handful of people that do, then it's worth it. And so, but simply by having it there gives you more of that visibility for those people who don't even care about it. So.
Cool. So for a strategy with your content, so you come out with a new piece of content, post it on your website. Now you want to amplify it with social.
Yep.
Would you recommend hitting all the channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google My Business,
Absolutely.
Twitter?
Yep, absolutely. All those things. In fact, somebody, Brady from our team, actually just wrote a post on our blog recently about, does social media affect SEO? Yes and no. But the main thing is like it affects the brand, which is huge. Google loves brands. We didn't talk a ton about that, but if you're, and let me explain, I think I mentioned earlier, non-branded keywords versus branded keywords, right? Branded means it includes your name. But all those non-branded keywords that you have really good content for, that you're ranking for, can support your brand authority. So what I mean by that is that you're sharing on social media all this helpful content, and then all of a sudden like, oh, they're really helpful, I'm going to go search for them via brand. And then your brand search goes up while your non-branded search goes up, and they just kind of like play off each other. They help one another, help position you as an authority in whatever space you're in. So Daniel did get back and say local software company. Okay, so that one, again, we've actually done some work with local software companies, and that would depend on is your buyer just local, or can you help anyone anywhere? I would assume with software that you really can help anybody, and how niche are you? Local software, there's lots of different kinds of software, right? Are you building B2B software, B2C software? So just get more granular, look at the current customers you have to kind of get ideas for what you should actually be publishing and talking about on your website. So for instance, we've worked with a handful of different local software companies, but some are mobile app developers, some build web apps, some only work with Magento, some only work with Swift, and figure out what your kind of niche is, and that can help your visibility as well.
I think there was a question about like keyword search data, and that was something that was really interesting to me. I really like when you said that, thinking about more what people are searching versus what we can give them, and thinking about the user themselves. So like, what would your process kind of look like for figuring out, okay, so what are they wanting to know about this? Do you just kind of like, what does that process look like for you?
Yeah. So I'm going to keep pushing people more to our website, because that has all of our thoughts kind of like down, because it is a huge question. But yeah, where we start is, and we just kind of have like a process of keyword research where it kind of starts at the highest level, right, of the topic, because we want to understand, I'm going to keep using the same example. Hopefully it's helpful. Hydro seeding. Hydro seeding is a service that relates to landscaping, right? So what we need to do is understand how all of these keywords are related to each other, and realize that like because we need to understand it, so does the customer, so does Google, right? Google needs to understand the relations of these things. I don't know if that answered the question very well. What was the question again?
There was a question of the best way to find like keyword search data. So for that process,
Okay.
is that like,
yeah, so we use SEMrush, and what that does is for any keyword, it's giving you the monthly average of any keyword based on the last 12 months. Now, something I always like to point out to people when it comes to keyword research is always take that data with a grain of salt, because it's not predictive of the future, right? So we've had situations where, a customer came to me and said, hey, we're not showing up for this search. And I go, well, nobody's searching it, right? But I decided like, okay, we're gonna help you show up for that search. And then what I realized is, well, okay, we're going off of past data, but all of a sudden they're getting leads from that published post that we had that we were seeing no volume for. Like less than 10 people a month were searching for this particular service in the West Michigan area. And yet 3 weeks later, he calls and said, hey, we got like 5 calls today, all for that service you guys were focusing on. So it's like, okay, then it works. So, so just continually, I would say like have this, and this works well for me because I have that shiny penny syndrome, but just continually be curious and share that curiosity with the world, what you're learning. I think there's a few other questions maybe. Where do posts go on Google My Business? So you can see them, especially on your mobile device. If you've made any post in Google My Business, you can see, you'll see them show up on Google Maps sometimes. But the other thing that we've noticed is Google, so I mentioned the local pack. I wish I had a quick example, but sometimes Google will even show in the local pack, they'll have a little icon that says, I think this happened with our fireplace insert post. It said, this business recently posted about fireplace inserts. So those posts that you make will actually show up in that local pack on, mobile or desktop. And I like that because it kind of like, it's almost like this little badge that's saying, hey, we're better than the other 2 options, right? It's something different that the other 2 don't have, kind of makes you stick out a little more. So that's another great reason to have it. And you can also, in your Insights tab, or I think on the Post tab in Google My Business, you can see how many people have actually viewed those posts and then even clicks that you've gotten from those posts as well. I know we have about 4 or 5 minutes left. Just want to see if there's any other questions that I missed.
There's one, I don't know if you addressed this one, Lance. It says, would you recommend keeping a blog on the business website in lieu of a blogging platform such as Medium?
Yes, that's my gut, but I have no experience working with a third-party blog to try to optimize a website. So I don't know if it's possible, but I always like to keep it under the same domain. It's easier for tracking, which is huge. And yeah, just for that domain authority. Sometimes, I even we have one customer right now who, for a while we were kind of like, oh, he kind of has 2 different sides of his business. And we really were like, you need to have one website. It's hard enough to manage one website,
Right.
to have another one just means we have to do double the work of optimizing both of these domains, right? But at the end of the day, you kind of also have to make business decisions. So for him, it was like, well, we really can't be, kind of self-promotional between these 2, even though they're somewhat related. So yeah, I always recommend, have your blog on your website, on your service. Yep. Good.
Well, we're running into the end of our meeting here. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Lance, your presentation was awesome. Lots of really great tidbits to take out of it, and I'm looking forward to getting the deck from you and the recording, because that way we can, when we're implementing Google Tag Manager, we have the step-by-step that you provided, which is awesome. A lot of actionable tips. Really great. So thank you, Lance. Thank you, Symposia, Kara, for your sponsorship. And we will get details to you on our next June meeting, what the topic and the venue for that, whether it's going to be in person or on Zoom. So
Awesome.
without further ado, thank you very much. And
Thank you
have a
guys for
great
having
day.
me. Yeah, I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, and we'll follow up with all those resources. Thanks, guys.
Great.
Thanks, Miss
Thank
Joy.
you.